Okay, so I should be alive now, if if I'm not mistaken, and I can't currently read the chat because I have some things open where they shouldn't be right now. So I'll be able to read the chat in just a second, and okay, so I'm able to read the chat right now, and so if anyone could tell me if the sound is off or something like that. Oh wait, no, I can't read the chat. Sorry. Hold on. Hold on a little second. Okay. Okay, so now I can read the chat, but I'm echoing, I'm told. Okay. Why might that be? Okay, interesting. I'm going to turn the sound off. Oh, wait, hold on. No, I shouldn't. I should only have one audio input. If I go like this, let's see. Oh, wait, no, I think I'm seeing the issue here. How about now? Is this any better? La 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 la. How's it going? Oh, okay, great. Okay, so apparently, yeah, that's weird. So it kind of said that I have two audio inputs. That's strange, but okay. Oh well, here we are, and I can read the chat. It's perfect. Okay, so this is exciting. I have never live streamed before in my life, so this is quite exciting. Yeah. So I am Cawlo. Um, my name is actually Carl, but that's what you'll know me as on the subreddit is Cawlo, Cawlo, and so the plan for this stream here would be to just do some translation of a short story that I'm already quite far with it, but this would just be a fun way to do it, I think. It's in a language called Aedian, and it's related genetically to the Pakan language, which I have been posting a lot of on the subreddit. At least I used to post a lot of it. So if that should maybe give you some idea of the world we're in terms of the conworld we're in. But essentially, the Aedians are a people of they're a Chalcolithic people, meaning that their main material to make tools, their main material for making tools is copper, and they live in an area like southeast of the Pagans. It's not really important, but if it helps to give any background for what I'm doing here, then it serves its purpose. Now, this story here, it's, as you can see right here, it's all written in Danish, because I am Danish, so all of my conlang material is in Danish as well. You'll see over here with my dictionary here, my lexicon, which is the same document as all of my grammar. It's also in Danish, all of it. So, and I was wondering how that would, how people would react to that, because, like you won't, at least I don't think that you'll be able to follow everything I'm doing in the same way you might if I had been doing this in English, if my documents were all in English. But I guess there's no harm in it. So to explain a little bit about this story here, it's a story that in Aedian, and I've translated it in a bunch of different languages. I'll just delete that for a second. It was just something I did for fun for a second. So it's called Giratina ul Ibilkeu, which means the hermit and the gifts of the gods. Essentially, this is a story about a lonely hermit who lives in the woods and is getting along. He's getting by just fine. So the first paragraph here, for example, says, in a forest far away lives a man. He doesn't shave. All his clothes are made of animal skins, and his hut is made of mud and clay. Only very rarely does he meet other people, and they often get scared away by his appearance. Look, a hermit! Run before he eats us, people usually say when they see him. The only thing other people call him is hermit, so he has come to believe that this is his name. When the hermit wakes up early in the morning, he puts on his clothes of animal skins. He takes his spear, his bow, and some arrows, which he goes out and hunts deers and foxes with. When he then comes home, he flays them and butcher. He flays and butchers his prey, or his the game, I guess you would say in English. I don't know. Then when he has prepared and eaten the meat and hung up that which is left, he goes to sleep. And that's kind of the outline of his situation. So Mate says, I'm not Danish, nor do I speak Danish, but I'm completely fine with the documents being in Danish. That's awesome. At least I know that it's not bothering you, at least. Quarry is a good word for animals hunted. Also, would you also use quarry when they're dead, like after the fact? Because I suppose game is what you're hunting as you're hunting it, or at least that's my understanding of the word. So this hermit, it says that he survives his way alone, as he has done for 19 years, and as his father did until he died when the hermit was 12 years old. But when the hermit turns 20, I personally would suspicion regarding the word query. All right. But the thing of importance is that when he turns 20, he suddenly feels weak, and he gets weak because he doesn't want to hunt. He gets depressed, and he asks, "Why am I so depressed? Am I sick? But I don't feel any pain, and I don't have any cuts or anything. I'm not throwing up. So why can't I run anymore after a deer or shoot a fox?" And so what he does is he to kind of I guess to as a solution, or at least he attempts to solve this problem, he he makes an offering to the hunting god Balta. So he says, Balta, god of hunters and the Balta, god of hunters and all the animals hunted. Make me able to hunt again. So So it's kind of a he's offering to Balta in order to be able to hunt again. And the next day, he he finds a little package, like a package wrapped in animal skin. I'm not sure what you'd call that, but basically, he finds it, but before he can open it, he's met by a fox about the size of a horse, I'd say. So already there, something's wrong. The fox doesn't flee, and it doesn't attack him either. And then the fox speaks. He says, Hermit, I am sent by Balta, my divine master, to heal your pain and to give you back your might, or your I guess you could translate mood as good mood or something. This is a gift from Balta, heavenly arrows that find their way to the target by themselves with hello Triddle, welcome to the stream. Oh, Safari, okay. But the arrows with arrowheads made of topaz, and a heavenly spear with a head of copper, which never breaks. And so what I'm getting at here is the kind of way that this story is built up. He has a problem, and he tries to solve it by offering to the gods. And what the gods give him in return is sort of I guess you could say, tools, heavenly tools that go beyond what can be expected from what can be expected to be made from or by a human. And he gets the arrows and the copper spear, and he goes hunting for 10 days, and everything is fine. He's happy, but then he goes, I have enough food now to feed a big family for days, but why should I hunt? Why even wake up every morning when I know that I don't have to work? But why sleep when no work needs me to rest? And how can I truly be awake when I never sleep? And if I am never awake, how can I know if I'm alive? And so he cries, and then, so here's where it loops around. He offers to, he prays to the god of basically horticulture, I guess not really agriculture, but plants, grass, trees, fruit, flowers, and such. Obe is this god's name. And so he wishes for something to make him happy in his life. And so when he wakes up the next morning, there's a wonderful pear tree. So Luby Plecky XD asks, when showcase? I'm not entirely sure. I'm bad at remembering stuff like that. But maybe if I have another mod in the chat, they would know better than I. Sorry, I can't answer that myself. So he gets a pear tree, which you can expect is given by the god Obe, and it has beautiful flowers on it, um, even though it's winter, and so that doesn't really make sense to him. Uh, and the rabbit appears. So the thing with these animals, first the fox and then the rabbit. These are both, I guess you could call them attributes of the given gods. So the fox is a companion of Alta, the god of hunting, while the rabbit is um, the companion or attribute of the god Obe. And so this rabbit here that appears when he sees the pear tree explains the same to him as the fox did. So he says, "Hermit, uh, I am sent by Obe, my divine master, to heal your pain and give you back your happiness. This is a gift from Obe, a heavenly pear tree that each morning bears new flowers and later on big new pears. If you sow the seeds from one pear tonight, uh, you will find new pear trees having grown by tomorrow morning." And such says the. Okay, interestingly, I've written hare here. That's weird. Hold on. So it is, a, yeah, it is a rabbit. It's not a hare. Funny. Um, a canine in Danish. Not sure if that has anything to do with the word canine or like canis in Latin. If somebody can look that up, I'd appreciate it. Oh, okay. So such says the rabbit and runs up into the heavens to their master Obe. And so he tastes the pears and he sows the seeds and everything is lovely. And each morning a new pear tree has grown up, and the pears they taste like honey, and everything is wonderful. And he makes sure for 10 days um, to uh, to make plentiful offerings to Obe as like saying thank you for the gift. But then on the 11th day, okay, I think Ollie Wallace says, I think it's related to Dutch Koning and German Kaninchen. Does the hermit have to give the gods anything in return, or are the gods that good? This is I think this is from the hermit's part, a way to just, he's been given this gift, and so he wants to do everything to keep that gift, and because he hasn't been instructed regarding um, if if these gifts are going to be taken away from him or anything like that. Because he hasn't been informed about that, I guess he just wants to do everything he can to show how grateful he is for the gifts. So I think that's why um, he keeps offering to the gods. But you'll notice that the very first thing he did was offering to Balta as a way to initiate this whole situation. So after having after on the 11th day having almost like a little forest, a grove of wonderful, funny. Okay, so this is apple trees. It's supposed to be pear trees. So he's got this grove of wonderful pear trees grown up around his hut, he once again becomes very sad. And he says, I now own the most beautiful grove of pear trees in the world. If one tree, if a tree, if one tree falls or burns, I can at any point plant 10 new. But how can I be happy about over like how can I be happy for something that I wouldn't cry over losing? Does it mean that I hate my pear trees? But who would ever hate who hates beauty? And should such a person live? So once again, as before, like he's questioning he's questioning the state that this blessing has put him in. Um, so like before, he says, well, if I don't have to work for anything, how can I find happiness in my life, and how will I even know that I'm alive if I don't have to work? And so similarly here, he says, well, that escalated quickly. Yeah, it did. So I think the connection here is that, so he questions, how can I be happy about something that I wouldn't cry over losing? Which I think is a fair, question to be asking. Existential pear tree crisis. Yeah, I guess you could say so. So if I wouldn't cry about losing it, then do I really love it? Am I actually truly happy about it? But if I wouldn't cry over losing it, does it mean that I hate them? Because surely, for example, if you wouldn't be sad about losing, for example, a person or a family member, then that would mean that you don't love them. At least, like that's his rationalization of it. So he asks, does it mean that I hate my pear trees? But so his pear trees are very beautiful and they're wonderful. So he asks, but who hates beauty? And should such a person live? Because who in the world would hate beauty? Who would hate something? Matthew says, I like the quite heavy philosophical swift. Thank you. I really enjoy this. I really enjoy I really enjoyed writing this, and it's so much fun to think about. And as we go along, I might explain something about, Aedian theology, how they view their relation to the gods. And why is this getting so deep? Well, that's the way I conlang. So so he cries and prays to Urba, and Urba is basically goddess of everything that has to do with the home, with daily life and family. It's the goddess of marriage as well. So everything that has to do with family and social life and peace in the home. So he prays to Urba. Urba, god of the home and of the daily life. Give me something in my life that I can be happy about and work hard for. And miserable, the hermit falls asleep. For anyone tuning in right now, this is not, in fact, my conlang. This is in Danish. My translation is written further down below. I'm just explaining what's going on here, and sort of giving an introduction to where, how far I've come with the actual translation into Aedian. So, and this is where I personally think it gets sort of interesting. When the hermit wakes up, the next Danish is the conlang. Well, it's often, I often call Anadu when talking about vowels, and refer people to Danish phonology. So when the hermit wakes the next morning, his cheeks still taste salty of tears. He rises from his bed, or like it's like a rock. He sleeps on. Love your stuff. Glad this pod I'm going to recommend it. Well, I'm glad to hear that. So now you get to join me for translating this freaking thing. And he depressed. I don't know how to translate this word into English. Modløst, like he's without hope. He's without any power or anything. So he goes out, but at the fireplace is a little clay pot, which he's never seen before. The fire is lit, and there's steam rising from the pot. Curious, the hermit goes closer to the fireplace, and when he finally looks down the pot, he can see that it's simmering with a lovely stew with deer meat, mushrooms, milk, and nulko, which still, So mate Gregor is referring to the Danish phenomenon of stød, which is the difference between, it's sort of a glottalization of a vowel. So it's the difference between hun, which is with stød, and hun, which is without stød. Hun, and it's the difference between bønner, which means beans, and bønder, which means farmers. But there's this stew. Anyway, yeah. So there's a stew, and it's got nulko in it. Nulko is like it's a kind of tuber that they eat. It's rich in starch, and it's kind of like a beet because it's very red, and it gives. I would imagine that this stew would be like a sort of orange color, with the milk and the nulko. And actually, I kind of like to taste this. So he's about to taste and this says soup. So yeah, it's probably good. It's I think it's great that I'm doing this because I get to go through this whole thing and look for errors. So he's about to taste the stew, but in the same moment, a big heron, the bird with the long neck and legs and everything, they eat frogs. So in the same moment, a big heron lands before him. Its beak is made of gold, but it doesn't open the beak, and it says nothing either. When it gets eye contact with the hermit, it oh, sorry, I have to deal with my cat. 2 seconds. Smut med dig, din lille lort. Ud med dig. All right, okay. When it gets eye contact with the hermit, it folds out its great wings and flies up into the heavens. The main difference here, you might notice, is the fact that unlike the fox and the rabbit, the heron does not speak, and it doesn't explain anything, and it doesn't explain this. I've never heard cat language before. It sounds amazing. That was actually just Danish, but if you want to call Danish cat language, that's sure. So it doesn't explain why the pot of stew is there, and there doesn't seem to be anything, especially magic or anything like that, about the stew. All cats speak Danish, confirmed. I actually think my cat, when I imagine my cat speaking, I imagine him speaking German or some Celtic language. So, what else would evil creatures speak? So, are you referring to Danish or German? That's my concern here. Um, the hermit doesn't want to touch the stew. He lets it stay there. But suddenly, out of the forest comes a woman, a young woman, wearing woolen clothes. Now, I want you to pay attention to this. So, in contrast to the hermit, who's lived all of his life out in the woods as a hunter-gatherer, and his clothes are all made of animal skins. Now, she's wearing woven clothes. Her hair is light and curled. She's got curly hair. And she's blonde, basically. Space Search says, how does Ada speak to my dog in both German and English, but he ignores both equally. Have you tried Danish? And so the man, the hermit, logically asks, who are you? And he stands up, and she says, my name is Appu. And she smiles at him. Notice also how she doesn't run away. Imagine cats going around the city swearing names like crazy because they haven't found anything to eat. For helvede! Kraftedeme med noget møg, vi ikke kan finde noget at æde. Something like that. So, she says her name is Appu, and she doesn't run away from him like everyone else have. And she asks, who are you going around clad in animal skin and not shaving? He has never had this question before. And then he thinks that his name is Hermit, which as you'll see later in the Aedian version, is Giratina. So he refers to himself as Giratina. I'm Hermit, he says. Appu laughs at it, and that's not a name, she says. I was on my way through the forest, and then I smelled your lovely stew. Wouldn't you allow me to taste? And so he fetches two small bowls so they can both eat. And she praises the stew, and it tastes as if a god had cooked it. And so the hermit is happy, and he shows her the arrows that find their way to the target, and the spear that never breaks. And he says, "Look at my pear tree." So he's showing her all these lovely gifts that he's gotten from the gods. And he says, "Oh, you can take as many pears as you want, because tomorrow they'll grow new flowers, and then they'll grow new pears by noon." And she says, "I don't believe it, so let me stay for the night so I can see for myself tomorrow if what you're saying is true." So Appu stays with the hermit, and Appu has a fantastic accurate sense of taste to know it was God's made stew. Yeah, so I what I think this more reflects, it tastes so well, it tastes so good, that the only logical conclusion is that well it must be made by a god or something. I think this is just her way of praising him, but who knows? Again, the heron didn't explain anything about the stew. It might as well have, I don't know, been made by some guy named Greg who came by and decided to make a stew and left it for the hermit. So Appu stays with the the hermit, and in the evening they eat stew and drink distilled pear wine. And this is very, very specific. Um, but it's one word in Aedian, watu, which is what it is. Uh, God's made stew is just primordial soup. Sure, we'll say that. So they drink distilled pear wine, and Apu sleeps in his hut for the night. And when he wakes up, he does so by like he hears a loud gasp coming from outside, and tired he gets up and goes outside, and here he finds Apu standing flabbergasted and in awe of the beautiful flowers. She turns around against the hermit and laughs. She says, she doesn't say this, but Space Dirt says, herons are interesting creatures. I remember once camping, we lived by a nesting colony, and they screamed like small children lost in the woods. Not a pleasant sound. I've actually never heard herons say anything. They just stand around in the in our rivers where I'm from. Just stand around and look at you. And they look kind of judgmental, I think, the herons. But that might just be me. I'd love to hear a heron say anything. Well, unless it's as unpleasant as you described. So Apu says, but yesterday there wasn't a single flower, and it's even winter. And she waits for afternoon, where big juicy pears grow forth on the trees. And she says, "Let me stay one day more, so I can see it all, so I can witness it all one more time." And so this repeats for 10 days. That they look at the flowers together, and the pears. They eat the pears, and in the evening they drink distilled pear wine and eat stew and yada yada yada. She sleeps in his hut, and that goes on for 10 days. Mate Grega says, recipe for gods: boil some amino acids. Amino acids for 1 million years, and add some pre-diced protein, and you have a soup of life. Soup of life. Actually, I really love the word soup. It's a little. I love the sound of that word. So Spacer says that's usually the case here. It was something about nesting that made them think, yes, let's scream bloody murder. Today I will scream bloody murder. That's interesting. I don't know if I should hope to hear that someday or not. As for Apu and the hermit, it goes on like that for 10 days, and so as a way of thanking the hermit for letting her live in his living in his hut and around it, we found a cellar door. Actually, my favorite sounding, so soup is just soup, as Ollie writes. Soup is a nice word. Like I think it's funny, but actually my favorite sounding, like aesthetically, my favorite sounding English word is heaven. Heaven. I like that word. So as a way of saying thank you, she thanks during the 10 days. She shaves his face. She gives him like arm warmers. Speaking of food, I must unfortunately go to pick up some food. See you. It was nice having you here. Matt Sabon trains with the first band on the channel. Their offense being soup. uh, um, I was hearing some kind of scratching noise, or is it just me? It might just be me, but I'm not sure. Uh, if there's any noise, I'll try to do something about it.